Hello everyone, welcome back to Global Government News. In this second part of this video series, is a double dip recession in our future? Well, even the individual in the last video that I just showed doesn't really know, and only time will tell, but he was mentioning austerity, and austerity is basically cutting back on the deficit. And like I said in the last video, I agree with Stefan Molyneux from True News or Free Domain Radio when he says that you're not responsible for this shit, man. You're born into this. You're born into this debt before you're even born. They were spending money back in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s before you were even born, before you're even living. And I mean, how criminal is that? That's how this is how our system works. This is how it functions. It's based off debt, taking on debt. So I mean, it's like, what is the solution? Oh, what is your solution? It's you got to change the system. You have to end the Federal Reserve. You have to end the fractional reserve financial monetary system. You need to stop overtaxing people. In fact, you need to stop taxing people in general and let them decide what they want to do with their own wealth and their money for goods and services instead of having it forced upon them and over-politicized and all the other good stuff. Because then you just get in this position that you're in now where, back in 2008, there was a heist where basically the bankers, through their little puppets in Congress, and in the media, the corporate-owned media, they were fear-mongering, telling people that there was going to be martial law in the streets unless the bill was passed, the bailout bill. So in other words, if they didn't pump a bunch of money back to the bankers, the same people that freaking profited off all of this, the housing bubble and the increased gas prices, Goldman Sachs also profited off the increased gas prices and the housing bubble. And the grounding of air flights and the BP disaster, they profit off all of this. And I'm getting really tired of seeing the same scumbag companies profiting off of other people's just, I guess you can say, crises. And so here we go again. They're talking about scaling back the deficit and how it could possibly not work. So in other words, we're supposed to go through this jobless recovery in order to keep the economy growing. So in other words, us, the financial slaves who pay our stupid income tax and all the other taxes and slave away chasing this American dream, this global dream, in reality, the system is meant to have bubbles that get popped. It's meant to have recessions where these people, these individuals, these small groups of very wealthy people who own the majority of wealth profit off of these losses. And so that's how this corporatist system is designed. It's not designed to be an efficient system allocation of goods and services where there's good competition and strong competition and free markets and everybody's standards of living are increases because of it, because they all have some kind of invested interest in it. So instead of actually fixing the root of the problems, which are those that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, such as the income tax, the Federal Reserve System, wars, national defense, CIA, all of that stuff, unless you fix the actual root problem, then we're going to keep having these same issues coming up and back again. And slowly, generation after generation, your standards of living will be lowered significantly, and to the point you don't even realize that you're working twice as hard for half as much. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So this title of this article is Austerity Pros and Cons Preoccupy Markets, and this was actually from June 28th, 2010, from a very reputable website, Financial Times, or publication Financial Times. And they were mentioning the same things about political unrest and double dip recessions and austerity. And it says debate is currently playing out in markets as investors seesaw between rewarding countries for bold spending cuts to punishing them on fears that renewed fiscal discipline will lead to political unrest or even cause a double dip recession. And this is, of course, is based off the illusion that you can spend your way out of a recession, right? It says in recent weeks, countries in the developed world have announced a series of measures to rein in the record budget deficits and mounting public debt levels. So what do? What is the solution to this problem? Well, since you're living in a corporate or fascist style of economic system and social system, you can expect, social programs to go first, right? That's why they're playing politics over your unemployment benefits, right? It's one of the few things that actually are somewhat good, right? They're good. We pay all this pump all this money into this black hole pot called the United States of America, that bank of account. And where does most of it go? I'll tell you where it goes. It goes towards national defense, like I mentioned earlier, and that is a fact. It goes towards national defense, towards wars, towards expanding an empire, which isn't even ours. It's not even owned by us. It's owned by people who profit off of us, off of our labors, who create these wars, who influence these wars. And it's the same people. It's the banks. It is the defense contractors. It is the pharmaceutical industry. Those are the main three. And so this is their system, this is their country, and we're working for them. And so they will gut our social programs in order to keep their crony system sustainable, because it is not sustainable, because the free market, time after time, puts their crony fascist system into check. And that's what we're going through right now. The free economy is naturally trying to adjust itself, and we are trying to, we're just going to spend a few more trillions of dollars and cut some programs here, but they're not going to close down the bases. They're not going to end the wars. Oh, and so here, this is a good point right here, right? Because this is the consensus. This is the mainstream consensus, is that what? A big concern is that the fear that governments may go too far with their austerity measures, destroying the growth needed to help them pay off their large debts. So that's based off the assumption that you're going to spend your way out of this recession, right? An increase in investment and productivity and expansion in the economy. In other words, when all these people who are latching on to a fantasy are awakened to the reality that there is no recovery. There is no big recovery. It's not coming. And that it's really a restructuring. They're going to basically have to face the facts that that all that cutting of spending didn't help. And even if they did spend, it wouldn't have helped. So I guess a better way to explain it is, they're saying that the concern is that the fear that the government may go too far with austerity, gutting programs, gutting whatever, social. It's usually what they go after first. And they'll say, oh, see, you cut too much. You cut too much. And see, the real way to fix the problem is that you should have spent more. You should have spent more money that didn't exist, that was backed by nothing. See, that's the more rational thing to do. And that's how they'll look at it. And so, of course, you will see more stimulus packages and similar types of actions taken by this global financial system. I hope you join me for my third and final video as I really tear into the rest of these articles that I have prepared for you. I just wanted to try to explain how I see this whole thing playing out. Because it is financial terrorism. That's what it is. It's economic warfare. And I was watching a documentary, where a representative from Roosevelt's administration even was using the term economic warfare. So it is a real term. Does happen. So join me in this next video.